What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Ackland here, of course. Welcome back to each and every one of you to episode 20 of the Barrens Chat. Ladies and gentlemen, I am, as always, very happy to be here with all of you. Mueller Gaming, how you doing, sir? Frozen Solid, how you doing? Epic Thulu, how you doing? Eugene, how you doing, sir? Ubungo, how you doing, sir? Welcome to each and every one of you. It is very, very good to be back with all of you. I am moving, as you can tell, the Barrens Chat earlier in the day because Fridays just tend to work out that I have stuff that I have to do on Friday evenings. There's always someone that wants to go out or go for dinner or, you know, some event that's taking place on a Friday evening. So in order to make sure that we don't miss another Barrens Chat episode, they're going to be now during the afternoon, which I also think is good because that means you guys can go out on a Friday evening and you're not going to miss the show. So yeah, I hope it works for you. Kimmy, how you doing? Zakimi, how you doing? Token, how you doing? Z-Vengeance, how you doing, sir? I'm on YouTube today. Twitch is for some reason refusing to load at all. Oh, crap. All right, well, I'm still happy to have you here. Diffin, how you doing? I have to watch VOD later because of World. Oh, come on, Diffin. It's not an interesting team that's currently playing, is it? I have such an interesting idea that's not quite a theory yet, based on a whisper. I've been waiting for this to put it in chat over and over till you see it. Token, share it with me now. I will see it. Twitch is slower than YouTube anyways. Yeah. Wait, on what front? On the chat front? Because I personally don't mind the rate at which I see it. Bleeding Soul, how you doing? Yeah, man, I can't complain. Streams have been pretty fire. We've been having a ton of fun playing World of Warcraft on stream. Although we didn't play much this last week because I'm currently just working through side quests. I've not really been diving too much into anything else but the side quests in the War Within. I'm going at my own pace. I'm just exploring the world, looking for lore or looking for world building elements or basically just screwing around in the game because I'm having fun, you know? It is a great day to be a WoW player. Why do you say that, Epic Thulu? You're talking when I watch them side by side. Twitch is consistently 5 to 7 seconds behind, if not more. Oh, crap. I think it's because on Twitch, any sort of latency, any sort of lag will put the stream further and further behind. And there is always going to be some kind of small hiccups here and there. And that's probably why. So you can eventually be a good 20 seconds behind on Twitch, depending on your internet connection, of course, and the servers at the time. Before going into WoW, the important question is, tell us about the barbecue. Z-Vengeance, the barbecue is fun. Although, I think I told you guys about the barbecue Wednesday on the stream on Twitch. Although I don't know if you were there on Wednesday, but yeah, barbecue was super fun. Barbecues are always super fun. I mean, have you ever been to a barbecue that wasn't super fun? Because I sure as fuck have not. But no, I think there is so much to talk about, and I specifically have 3 topics that I really want to discuss with you guys today. One of them I've already wanted to discuss like 2 weeks ago already, and then we didn't have a Barrens Chat. Last week we didn't have a Barrens Chat because I've just been busy the whole time. So now I am very excited. Clearly you've never been to a vegan... there's no such thing as a vegan barbecue. I don't know what the vegans are doing, but they're not doing a barbecue. So, yeah, I would also not go. If a vegan invited me anywhere, I wouldn't go. Unless they say it's a meat restaurant, then I would go. But I wouldn't go anywhere where they don't sell meat, ever. A hunger lost to the ages will be reclaimed. A dark heart left broken awaits the taking. I think Xalatath will let Illyria after... Wait, will let Illyria after she broke the dark heart for her to use it on Xalatath? A hunger lost to the ages will be reclaimed. A dark heart left broken awaits the taking. Okay, Token, but your second sentence makes no sense. I think Xalatath will let Illyria after she broke the dark heart for her to use it on Xalatath. What does that mean? Paramaniac, how you doing? I think she needs us, as Azeroth is a neutral force and we are her children, and we can also absorb and use all forces. I think it's something to do with that. Literally, I don't know if Illyria will use it on Xalatath specifically, but it could be that using it is the whole point. So there I can see some things. The whisper is very interesting. Where is that whisper from? Because I don't remember it. Although it might have been that we just never really focused on it, because literally before this expansion, that whisper would have made no sense to anyone, right? Literally use it on her. Dark Mephisto, how you doing, sir? Every fire on the crop fields should be classified as vegan barbecue. I'll latch on to that one and go for the obvious double meaning. Turalian dies, we know that. Illyria's heart is broken and full of void. Zal capitalizes on that and takes her over. That could also happen. Xalatath should use me instead. Ubongo, take your dick and put it away. We're not at that point in the stream yet. Later, we'll reach climax, and then you can get your dick out and you can have all the fun you want. For now, this is not Rule 34. We'll be back later. Just before the whisper about Old Mate Naga coming back. It's page 3, not or 4. Just before the whisper about Old Mate Naga coming back. Okay, so Token, it's not page 3. It's page 3, not 4. What page? Franzol, it was what from the DF campaign? Yeah, but in what book? Actually, a lot of the whispers used to have many meanings that could apply to. Now it feels like we are answering them all. It definitely feels, Disciple, how are you doing, sir? It definitely feels like Blizzard is starting to tick off a lot of the whispers. They're starting to sort of go, okay, let's look at all of the whispers we have, and let's start playing into those whispers. Now, of course, many people will point out that, hey, Chris Mason wasn't around when these whispers were made. Yes, but Chris Mason is also not a moron. He is now able to go through the whispers and say, okay, where were we planning on taking the story back when the whispers became a thing? And how can we utilize the whispers in order to mean what we wanted to mean? So I'm for one very excited to see where the whispers may end up taking us. The whisper is from A Song of the Depths. Why do I not remember seeing that at all? Okay, let's see this quickly. Rise, rise, our queen calls to us from beyond the umbral veil. She has... Oh, I remember covering this. I covered this. We spoke about this. I've spoken about this many... Man, I've spoken about this so many times. I don't know how I just completely blocked this out. But yeah, we've covered this. Rise, rise, our queen calls to us from beyond the umbral veil. She has transcended the circle of stars and basks in her eternal grandeur. The time we have long awaited is nigh. Even now the Harbinger gathers the children of the first flesh to reclaim what was lost. Children of the first flesh, we now know that this refers to the Nerubians. Now, if the Titan, or what little lore we have that may or may not have been Titan-inspired, is to be believed, then they would have come from the, not the Mantid. Oh, come on. Can't remember now. The original beings that came out of the old god corruption. Someone in chat will let me know. I can't remember the name now. But they were the first, and then from there, it all split into the Nerubians and the Mantid and the Akir. Thank you, Alcatraz. That's the one. Yes, the Akir. So from the Akir, they were the ones, their origin basically is the old god corruption sort of morphed the earth around them, and from this dark, twisted, corrupted earth came these beings that were called the Akir, and they are apparently the grandfather or father race of things like the Mantid, things like the Nerubians, and so on and so forth. So this would then explain where the children of the first flesh comes from. To reclaim what was lost, they must remember their vows and serve those to whom they owe fealty. We already know that they did not remember their vows, and they did not serve whom they owe fealty. But then, of course, Queen Ansarek did. While they toil in the deep places, we will journey to the shores of Dragonlands, to the blessed isle where the Worldbreaker first embraced the Whispers. As one storm recedes, another rises. The torches have been lit. The secrets he buried will strike as a dagger into the hearts of his kin. Now, what is very interesting here is, could we find out eventually that the Naga was behind a lot of stuff? That Queen Azshara, in fact, is actually behind a lot of this stuff. The Harbinger speaks of a primal power that seeks the end of order. Such rage can be bent to serve our ends. A primal power that seeks the end of order. This is Ridicron. Such rage can be bent to serve our ends. A hunger lost to the ages will be reclaimed. A dark heart left broken awaits the taking. Now, this could obviously... this could either refer to Iridicron, so a hunger lost to the ages will be reclaimed. Remember, up here, they're talking about a primal power that seeks the end of order. Such rage can be bent to serve our ends. Now, remember, this is all Naga stuff, right? The Naga wants to twist Iridicron, it seems, to their ends instead. Now, again, the question here becomes, let me ask chat. Chat, does any of you believe that there is an opportunity or a chance that Azshara and Xal'atath is actually working together? Bamdas, the only problem I have with you saying that the hunger lost to the ages will be reclaimed is that of Galakrond. The sentence. So the sentence here, a hunger lost to the ages will be reclaimed. The way the sentence is structured suggests that there will be a rebirth, right? So this thing will come back. We absolutely know that Galakrond is not coming back. They simply claimed his power. And the power that he had, at least the power that they claimed, the void power, isn't the thing that made him so hungry. It's the decay part of him that made him so hungry and made him constantly want to eat. At least if you read Dawn of the Aspects and you interpret it that way. But again, anything can happen. A dark heart left broken. Again, this could mean that the dark heart that was left broken, so in other words, the dark heart we found during the Dragon Isles or during Dragonflight, that's the one that was claimed, fixed, and is now operating as usual. Or this could be referring to something that is yet to come, so something that has not yet happened. When these things come to pass, the Harbinger will fulfill the final prophecy and complete the awakening. Only then shall our queen return to reign over sea and sky and earth. We must make ready. Rise, rise. Soon all that was hidden will be revealed. Now, this last passage, I think, is the Darkheart Thicket, Kimmy, was the dungeon you're thinking about. This last passage, I feel like, is probably the most loaded passage in all of this. So it says, when these things come to pass, the Harbinger will fulfill the final prophecy and complete the awakening. Now, what does awakening mean? What could it possibly refer to, chat, on Azeroth? It could be the crystal. It could be Beladar. Okay. You think it's Azeroth, all right? Now, what if... there's a couple, right? There is a couple. Noma, how you doing? Vimithras, how you doing? Awakening is nothing new. It can mean machine. Vimithras, in this sense, it speaks about the awakening. Now, what is it that the Harbinger is looking to do? Is the Harbinger looking to awaken Azeroth? Or Is the Harbinger looking to awake something else? This is the question. The question that at least we're faced with. If it is Azeroth, that makes a lot of sense. What doesn't make sense is the fact that Xal'atath has never expressed any interest in awakening Azeroth. In all of the time that we have known Xal'atath, when has she ever said that she wishes to awaken Azeroth? This is just not something that happens, right? So I would exclude Azeroth on that basis. The next it could be, very easily, would be Baladar, the crystal. But the crystal itself is just a crystal. The question is what lies within the crystal. Now, I'm about to drop, I think, something that is very controversial. What if the color of the crystal and the radiating energy of the crystal doesn't match what is within the crystal? Let me explain again. The crystal, up until the point where Sargeras shoved his sword into Azeroth, and not in a fun way, the crystal was shining only light. Only light. The void phase of the crystal only started once Sargeras shoved his sword into Azeroth, and again, not in the fun way. What if the crystal was of light origin, but very specifically meant to be a prison? So what kind of prison would you need a light-forged prison for? What kind of creature would such a prison contain? Something to do with void, because it stands to reason that void and light would be opposites of one another, suggesting they would be the strongest tool to utilize against one another. Now for this, I want you to cast your eyes back to the mural. Let's go mural. I want you to look at this. Now, we know that this old god does not fit any of the old gods that we know of. Yes, it has tentacles that is similar to N'Zoth, but it doesn't look anything like N'Zoth. Now, some people will say, oh, but N'Zoth did have a lot of eyes. None of N'Zoth's eyes looked like that. Also, you look at the top of the head, it doesn't match N'Zoth. This is definitely not N'Zoth. This is not Yesaraj. We know this isn't Cthulhu. We know for a fact that this is not Yogg-Saron. But this is a mural. This is a mural that shows a history of a people that are very old. In fact, this people predate any mortal race by several thousand years, if not tens of thousands of years. In fact, we don't quite know how old this race actually is. And I'm talking about the original Akir, not the Nerubians, if of course you believe the origin stories of the Nerubians. I don't, but I'm not going to get into that. That's not the time nor the place for this video. But even if you go off of the original, the Akir is very, very old. The Nerubians are just as old, because there would be a remembrance of the history of the Akir, even from the Nerubians, because they'll remember where they came from. We have no record anywhere of this old god. None. And we see a crystal. A crystal that is clearly encased in a structure of some kind. What if this old god is locked up inside Baladar? A gift from the light. An old god so powerful that no Titan prison would be able to keep it. And therefore, the Titans had to reach out to the light. It had to ask the light for a prison that would be strong enough to hold this old god at bay. And that's what this old god is. He's inside that crystal. And something about what Sargeras did with his sword knocked that crystal loose, or perhaps broke some of the seals on that crystal. But this goes back then to the awakening. When the final prophecy is fulfilled and the awakening is complete, only then shall our queen return to reign over sea and sky and earth. We must make ready. Now, this, of course, is... Why would Azshara be the one that reigns? Is it that Azshara herself is also planning and playing this long game? Could it be that this all has to do with N'Zoth? That everything that all of the other old gods were doing. Guys, I can go a lot further with this and say, what if originally there weren't 5 old gods? What if there is just one old god, and the old gods, the specimens that we have killed up until now, what if they were the same result as G'huun? I'll take you guys back to Legion. No, Battle for Azeroth. When we first learnt of G'huun, what did Blizzard, Ian as he cost us, what did he call G'huun? Do you guys remember? And the product, we found out later that G'huun was indeed a failed Titan experiment. Ian called G'huun an old god. When Ian announced this, he said, we're going to be fighting an old god. They referred to it as an old god. Now, where do we find each and every one of the old gods? We find them inside Titan facilities, Titan prisons. Now, there's a couple of questions here. When Aman'Thul tried to drag out Y'Sharosh, what happened? It left a giant gaping wound or hole inside Azeroth, right? That had to be filled up with the blood of Azeroth and then ordered by the Titans using arcane magic. How did they get the old gods into those Titan prisons? They can't touch the old gods. Pulling the old gods leaves the planet fucked. Claire, how you doing? Maurice, how you doing? The Rowan, how you doing? How are you building it around them, Vimithras? How? The old gods are fighting, right? It's an act of war. The old gods aren't going to allow you to just build prisons around them. The amount of time that you'd require, how are you keeping the old gods contained until the prisons are complete? I tell you how you get the old gods inside those prisons. Those are not prisons to begin with. Those were laboratories. Those were laboratories where they were born from their father, the original old god. You have a problem with all of that, Vimithras. The Titans had very little time on Azeroth. Very little time on Azeroth. Before they were called away to go stop Sargeras. They would not have had enough time to suppress and place the old gods into stasis. And then also, because here's the thing. If you can suppress them and place them into stasis, you can also kill them. Because you just place them in stasis and then kill them. But they didn't do that. None of this makes sense. When you start to extrapolate exactly all of the ways in which the Titans could have gotten rid of the old gods, none of that makes sense. Also, the Titan prison locations. I have questions. Unless, of course, the old gods that we know were not the originals. They were not the first. This is their father. This is the one from which they were born. Mortal weapons can only do it. In myth, mortals can do things gods can't do. Yeah, but wait, what do you mean? How involved in the war were the Titans, or was it mostly the Watchers? Eugene, this is the part that we're not entirely sure about, because the Titans don't write in a lot of detail about anything in that period, really. All they say is they came to Azeroth, found Ysuraj, Amanthul made an oopsie, ripped him out of the planet, went oops, and then they imprisoned them. But the Titans very much blah, blah, blah their way right through the whole, how in the hell did you get them in the prisons in the first place? Right? Did you truly just build the prisons around them? Because I'll tell you what, if that is the case, then a lot of the prisons don't make a whole lot of sense. Take, for example, Ulduar. Ulduar as a Titan facility makes sense. As a prison, it does not. Wouldn't the whole point of a prison be to make it as inconspicuous as possible? You specifically don't want people anywhere near it, so you're going to make it so that no one sees it. Instead, this is a giant-ass facility. I'm going to have to go through the bosses in Ulduar as well at some point, although most of the bosses are just Watchers. But there is a lot of experimentation that happens in Ulduar. Like, for example, with Freya. That's clearly an experimentational chamber that she is in, where life is allowed to just prosper, and it's almost as if they're looking to see what happens when you just allow life to prosper. So in my opinion, there is every reason to believe that these old gods that we killed were not actually old gods, not the real old gods. They were simply children. They were experiments by the Titans. And this is the real one, and the real one is currently locked up inside Baladar. Because the real old god is far too powerful for them to even attempt to take out, to build a facility to keep him in, if that makes sense. But he is the last one. Yes. I believe he is not just the last one. I believe he is the only one. We don't know exactly how. We don't exactly know what old gods are exactly. They could be being exposed to void, and that's how they came to be. Yes. But I'm sharing a different theory here, so don't focus on how the different theories may or may not interact with one another. The theory I'm sharing is completely different to all the previous ones that I have, because I literally just had a thought. The full conversation will be uploaded eventually to YouTube, so there you'll be able to see, because what I just said to you should not be seen in isolation. There was an entire conversation that took place prior to this that led to the most recent conversation that we just had. The thing is, I think for the Titans, it was a question of what are they? That's why they did these experiments, because they weren't sure what the old gods were, and it may have been their attempt to try and figure out how do you kill them. That's also possible, but we've never seen the element of spirit. So we don't know exactly what it looks like. Now, if you are going to say that the old gods may be the spirit elementals, that I will disagree with. There's no evidence anywhere, at least that I can tell, that they are connected to spirit. None of the spells they use or the magic they use, none of it has anything to do with spirit. In 1,000 Years of War, you understand how scary the Titans are? I don't know if I'll call them scary. What about the 1,000 Years of War audiobook makes them seem scary? Brings us always back. I think the player or the missing elemental spirit. Mithras, I don't agree with that at all, because the spirit, we already know the spirit healers are at least in some way attached to the Shadowlands. We don't know exactly how, but they appear to be attached in some way. I don't believe we are. I believe we are the result of spirit, but I don't believe that we are spirit elementals. I believe that spirit is anima. Anima is spirit. That is why the Eternal Ones and the Titans are harvesting this anima, because all spirit has been consumed in the universe and it has become souls, so to speak. What if each old god is the embodiment of different evil cosmic powers? How do you figure that? If I look at Chronicles as a Titan's perspective on actual events, then the light sent out crystals to order life. The old gods could have come from that life, falling to decay on Azeroth. Epic Thulu, yes, it is possible. We know at least that the light also sent out their own crystals into the universe. So there is an argument to be made for that. Although, are you now saying that light can lead to life? Old gods have plenty of abilities related to spirit. We know shadow magic has a strong link to its ability to use souls. Old gods practice sacrifice. Spirit and soul empowers them. But there's no, wait a second, hold up. You can't just say old gods have plenty of abilities related to spirit. Shadow magic comes from shadow. You can see the cosmic maps. There's not a single cosmic map, and we have 3 available to us right now that seems to point to spirit and shadow being related to one another at all. So that is a link that I would not agree with. The fact that you can have abilities that control soul does not automatically make those abilities soul magic. Soul magic would be its own thing. The old gods practice sacrifice? Not that often, unless the sacrifice was to themselves. Spirit and soul empowers them. Again, where? Where do you see spirit and soul empowering the old gods? Maybe the Titans. I'm not just talking about the Titans cosmic map. We have 3 other cosmic maps, or at least models, of the cosmos that seem to corroborate, at least in part, what the Titans were seeing. Of course, the Titans were seeing it from their own perspective, but the Titans... so, for example... we look at the Titans map of the cosmology, and then we look at the Broker's map of the cosmology, and it's the same map. It's just viewed from different elements. They have different names for things and slightly different positions, but all of the main elements of both maps match 1-to-1. So why would the Broker's map look exactly the same as the Titans map? I'm saying that when a Naru is under a lot of pain, it falls to the void. Imagine if that happened to the crystals the light sent out. They fell to the pain of living and then to decay. That is possible. The Outer Scrolls have Aedra and Daedra, where the Daedra are anything not Aedra. Perhaps the old gods are a very diverse bunch, only connected in not being Titans. Seems like wild gods are more fueled on sacrificial magic, or at least the trolls think so. Yep. The old gods also have a connection to the Emerald Dream. They are creators of the Emerald Nightmare. Yes, but they're not... Okay, but Bamdas, you have a problem in your theory. The old gods are not connected to the Emerald Dream. They are only connected to the corruption of the Emerald Dream by creating the Emerald Nightmare as a way to gain control of the Emerald Dream. That is not the same as saying they are connected to the Emerald Dream. They're not. In fact, they're explicitly not invited to the Emerald Dream. They needed to corrupt it in order to gain access to it. And the corrupted part of the Emerald Dream has nothing to do with spirit. It is the destruction of spirit on the side of the Emerald Nightmare. So again, I wouldn't look at that connection as the old gods being connected to spirit. Again, I'm not saying that the old gods can't be connected to spirit. I'm just saying that thus far, the evidence that you've presented me can only be interpreted that way by a massive leap of faith. I have to basically just accept I have to make a presupposition. So here's the problem with the examples that you've given thus far. Those examples point to the old gods being spirit if I've already presupposed that the old gods are connected to spirit. But if I presuppose that the old gods are not connected to spirit, then none of your examples convinces me that the old gods are in fact connected to spirit. The Emerald Dream is already corrupted by the Titans. The Titans have ordered the Emerald Dream. How do we know the old gods weren't the original rulers of the Emerald Dream? But Bumdust, now we're doing theory upon theory. See, so what we're doing now is we're saying, well, actually, my theory that the old gods are spirit works perfect if we presuppose that the old gods were the original creators of the Emerald Dream. All right, cool. Do we have any evidence to show that the old gods were, in fact, the original creators of the Emerald Dream? I would argue we do not. And so this would be very difficult for me, because what we're now starting to do is we are starting to create a theory purely to support our theory. And that, I tend to not like that, because now we're getting into fan fiction. Because I could do this with anything, right? I can create or invent any theory and then just use that theory to support a bunch of other theories. And while it might be cool, it wouldn't be lore bound, because I have no original evidence to point back to, my claim. Dem, how you doing? Assuming the nightmare is not the natural state and the dream is just the nightmare ordered by Titans, well, then that's, again, the assumption works, but it is just an assumption. Okay, that's fine. But again, I just want you to understand, I'm not being an asshole here. I'm just suggesting that the problem that you have with your theory is your theory only makes sense if we presuppose that the old gods are related to spirit. So I already have to accept the old gods are related to spirit, and then I can absolutely follow your theory right the way through. But if I don't, then nothing you've said thus far even makes me go, that could be possible, because it's not based on anything. It's literally you saying, but the old gods are very similar to the world trees. Their roots go deep. And then I could be like, yeah, but they have tentacles and they corrupt. That just because they act similarly to a tree does not make them a tree, right? And it doesn't mean that they and the trees are in any way, shape, or form connected to the same thing. So yeah, I would argue that it would be difficult. Malthrax, 16 months, part of the DJ Nation. Appreciate you, sir. Thank you. Problem is, with this theory, that old god power was countered by world trees' roots, as we learn. So not much sense that they come from the same place. Yeah, we also know that the old gods were so desperate to get into the dream, so we know that the old gods were not connected to the dream, that they used some of the world trees as a way to gain a back door into the dream, right? They corrupted world trees as a way to try and get into the dream. If they were originally part of the dream, that should technically not have been necessary. Mother, yeah, that's my theory. I mean, I posit the idea that the old gods may just be elemental lords of decay, because the spirit was consumed before they were born. They never had anything to keep them in check, and so they just kept growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. And now they're obviously a massive problem, but there's nothing they can do because there is no natural enemies. At least for the old gods. The dream could be the spirit realm reordered by the Titans. Of course. Of course. I mean, I've said before, we don't know where the dream really comes from. The creators of the dream is attributed to 4 different individual pairings of creators. In some it's ANR, in some it's ANR and Elune. In others it is ANR and Elune, and actually it wasn't created by them, but it already existed. They simply brought order to it. In another one, there's no creator of the Emerald Dream, and ANR just ordered it, and Elune wasn't really at all involved. So it's sort of like not even the Titans could agree on exactly what lie they wanted to tell about how the Emerald Dream became the Emerald Dream. So they just decided, let's add all 4 in there and no one will fucking know a thing. We know they reordered the dream via the Nemea boss from Amirdasil. Well, we know that they ordered everything. This is the whole point of the Titans, or this is the problem with anything to do with the Titans. I don't believe the Titans has the ability to create anything. This is partly why my theory is that the Titans have never created anything on Azeroth, ever. The Titans have never created life. They've never created even anything such as a Watcher. I believe that all of these, the Watchers, the constructs, I believe all of these were beings that existed on Azeroth that were then ordered by the Titans. The fact that we specifically know there is no difference between ordered and created as far as the Titans are concerned suggests that almost everything the Titans have built may have just been ordered. And they didn't build jack shit themselves. Essentially, I find that... Oh, just by the way, Father Nuggle, 24 months part of the Degeneration. I appreciate you, sir. Thank you. The Titans order a portion of the Emerald Dream, and I quoted it off. There is a part of the Emerald Dream that's meant to be more sacred than the others. Essentially, I find that at the moment, WoW is showing that both sides of cosmic forces come from each other instead of being opposite from each other. Light fades to void and vice versa. Spirit decays, so why can't we assume decay returns to spirit? I would say it seems like an old god is a decayed world tree, perhaps even able to return to spirit eventually. Bamnaz, I'm not so sure I agree with the fact that all of them just come from the other. Are we absolutely convinced that that is what the current WoW lore shows us? Jim, how you doing, sir? I'll answer questions in a second. I don't know if I would necessarily agree with that. Do they have connection with each other? Absolutely. Right? They absolutely. No, we don't know that. Bamdas. According to the official lore we have, Foul is the result of light and void clashing fiercely. This created the Twisting Nether, and the Twisting Nether is the realm of Foul. My theory is that the Titans are full of shit. Right, but that's just my theory. My theory is that Arcane, when it becomes unstable, becomes Foul. But that's just a theory. As far as I know, there's no evidence in WoW that really points to that. So I like what you're saying because it confirms my theory, right? But it is just a theory, and we have to remember that. I think the Titans have lied about the origins of everything, but it's just my thinking at the moment, at least. Void, which are essentially a duality. Yeah, but now this changes things. Bamdas, because you just say to me, we know that Foul comes from Arcane, and now you say, well, actually, yeah, literally, everything light and void, there you go. But that's weird now. No? Because if it doesn't come from Arcane, then it means that the theory that all of the cosmic forces are actually just connected to each other, it doesn't make sense, because it turns out only the light and the void really is connected to each other. The others are not connected to it. Also, there's no other evidence that shows that light or arcane or death even comes from the light and the void. So I don't know. I think if that is the case, it would be very interesting lore. Definitely very interesting, and I have no problem with that. But it would also be very confusing. I think a lot of people would be very confused, because you'd have to create like layers and layers of explanations in order to help the player base understand how actually the original forces is the light and the void. Then from these forces came the other forces, the other cosmic forces, but the other cosmic forces are kind of equal to the two grand forces in some way. No one knows why. And together they make up the 6 forces that govern the universe. I don't know. It sounds very difficult to sell. Have we seen any other Naru effects? I mean, we know life and death can go back and forth. No, only the Naru. And it is important to remember, the Naru's origin is very much incredible. I would caution everyone against using what happens to Naru as a way of extrapolating or imposing that upon the greater cosmological universe. Because I feel like the Naru's origins are very questionable. And it feels like it's dangerous to simply go, oh, but they must be connected to each other. I don't know if I would absolutely agree with that, if I'm honest with you. I think there's a greater chance that whatever they are, they're not of the light originally. That would be a much easier way of explaining the Naru. Red Ed, how you doing, sir? Good morning to you. Very happy to have you here. Aston, how you doing, sir? But yeah, at least for me, that's the one that makes more sense. On the Naru forged, or am I making that up? Well, we don't know anything about the Naru origin. We know the Naru claim to serve the light. We know that Xalatath says that the Naru are from the same place that Xalatath is, because she calls them brothers and sisters who have lost their way, and they will return to the masters in time. So clearly, from Xalatath's perspective, the Naru were not always servants of the light. The Naru, on the flip side of things, seem to be very much happy with the idea that they have always been servants of the light. Reddit, I'm very happy to hear that. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for the support. Really appreciate that. Kind of excited to suspect that Ural is going to do a reverse WOD and invade us in the name of the light. Yep. But I don't know if that's going to happen this expansion, though. But I do think that is coming. Magic forced by death becomes... Canal, how you doing, sir? Magic forged by death becomes necrotic energy, and shaped by the light becomes holy energy. Aston, so I see how magic forged by death becomes necrotic energy, but... Oh, no, never mind. I see what you mean there. You mean magic forged by death becomes necrotic, but magic forged by light becomes holy light. Yeah, okay, that I agree with. Barrels Crab, how you doing, sir? Maybe the Naru consider that their conversation from the void is their birth, their conversion. Or they just don't remember. If I am correct about my theories around the Watchers and the constructs that the Titans twisted and morphed, it is possible that upon creating the earthen, for example, or ordering the earthen, really, they also wipe their memories, right? So it is possible that even the Naru, who were once beings of void or servants of the void, when the light captured them and turned them into these light crystals that we see from the Naru, they also removed their memories. So they basically started clean that way. I mean, what better way to have an enemy? You have an enemy that constantly wants to escape and rejoin his own side, but what if you just said, fuck it, let's wipe our prisoner's memories and make our prisoner think that our prisoner is just part of us. That way, your prisoner will never leave, right? Thank you so much for the 5 bits, by the way, Gunner. Really appreciate you. Thank you. Gunnery, thanks for the follow. Really appreciate it. Thank you. The Naru feel like they are beings that were taken over by the light, same as Lothraxion, the Nathrazim. Radiate, thanks for the follow. Really appreciate you. Thank you. The same as Lothraxion, the Nathrazim was lighted. Similar outcomes to Titans ordering things. If the Titans can make something into order. I agree with that. Oh, shit. Radiated with the Prime sub. Really appreciate you, sir. Thank you. And welcome to the most degenerate chat on Twitch. Thank you. I can get behind that, Aston. One of the first Naru to be forged here during the Great Ordering of the Cosmos. On natural beings to begin with. Yeah, but the Naru may actually really not know where they come from originally, right? Which would actually be, at least in my opinion, I think would be a pretty cool, let's say, origin for the Naru. But to be here more, but I work at 6 a.m. Oh, Reddit, I'm sorry to hear that, but also very happy to have you here. I usually stream at this time of the day anyways, and then I stream till about 5 o'clock or so my time. So yeah, I hope to see you here more often if work allows, right? But thank you so much for the sub. Really appreciate you, sir. The money definitely always helps, so I really appreciate that. Morning, how you doing, sir? What other beings we know of that are in a state of fluctuating energy? Most were wiped out, and the ones that are here are one bandage pull away from dissipating. See, Vengeance, what beings are you referring to? Every time they come out, Reddit, and I appreciate that a lot. You guys have no idea how much your support means, like how awesome it is. Like, if I can take a moment to be a little bit soppy and sappy, and I promise I'm not going to do the whole, tear jerking bullshit, but there is something that I think viewers don't always appreciate when it comes to what they mean to a content creator. When I put out videos and I see people commenting, dude, best video ever, or man, thank you so much, you helped me get through my workday, or people just engaging and being like, oh, but did you think about this? And I can hear how excited they are about the video that I just made because my video inspired a bunch of their theories to come out. That makes it worth it, right? Like, even if I put out a video and the video only gets like 4K views, right? And I say only, that to me is great views. I mean, 4,000 people decided to listen to me. That's a fuck ton of views, right? But even if it doesn't get like 100,000 views, if I open my comment section and I see that there were like 50 people that really enjoyed the video, and they started speculating in the video, they started talking about what I said in the video, that alone makes that video worth it for me. Like, it doesn't even matter how many views the video gets or doesn't get or any bullshit. It just, that makes me happy. But yeah, like that. Obviously, super chats also help, and subscriptions help. All of that shit helps, and it does make me feel good. But the point I'm trying to make is, it's the really tiny things that make such a big difference. Like the tiniest little thing, just someone typing and saying, some of you do this, and you fucking guys will know exactly what I'm talking about. But some of you will go, comment for the algorithm. You don't have shit to say, but you're trying to help out. You like my content enough that you go, yeah, I'll leave a comment for the algo here. That way the algorithm thinks this is, the algorithm should push this to more people. Just that, right, makes me smile and go, fuck yeah, man. This guy rocks. I like this. So I want to thank all of you for being here and always hanging out with me. And even though I'm a very flaky streamer, there's some of you fuckers that are always here when I am live. So I really appreciate you for being here, and I appreciate you for watching my videos and for supporting the channel. And Michael, thank you so much for the $10. That really goes a long way. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Entropic Dream, thank you so much for the follow. Really appreciate you. Thank you. I try to be on every time, and I appreciate you for that, Epic Voodoo. Anything better to do? Growfall, but I still appreciate that you're here. Thanks for all the content over the years, Zako. Kyle, it is my absolute pleasure. It's my absolute pleasure. Law Nerds Unite. Oh, yeah, 100%. All right, sir. Got to clock in. I'll start commenting more on the videos. Reddit, that wasn't the point, but I will still appreciate it. Thank you so much, and enjoy work, sir. Thank you. AMK. I love my lurkers as well. Just very quickly. I know that there's quite a few of you that never type a word. You have no interest in typing in chat. You just want to hang out. You just want to listen to bullshit. And that's it. And I love you for that as well. So please, never feel like you have to do anything on my videos. None of what I just say to you was me trying to shame you into commenting more or shame you into speculating more in the videos. It was just meant to say thank you to those of you that do that and that feel you want to do that. But if you just want to watch the video and that's it, I still love you for that. Thank you. He loves us, boys. Well, not you, Z Vengeance. Everyone else, but not you. You're a weirdo. We've already discussed this. I like everyone else. Well, I sound sad now that you make it sound like I have nothing better to do than listen to you. Or, I mean, well, it is what it is, right? You have a sad life, I have a good life. Together, we equal out like a medium life. Which is the best you can hope for, really, if you think about it. I'm just listening while playing Persona 5 Royale, to be honest. CDJ, how you doing, sir? Very happy to have you here. Boys, okay. There's always around, kind of creepy. Wow, I'm the creepy one? Dude, I'm just doing my fucking job. What are you talking about? No, we're not playing Frostpunk, Growfall. This is Barrens Chat, sir. This is not a gaming stream. Oh, shit, I didn't even ask. How many of you are at the moment in the area of the hurricane or is affected or know people that's been affected by the hurricane? Is everyone all right? Is everyone doing all right? I'm sorry about that. I saw it this morning and I told myself, hey, you need to at least, bring it up on stream, and then I just completely forgot. So I really apologize for that. There's like a giant hurricane, Growfall, that I think is hitting the US at the minute. I'm doing Nicotinus, your juice. Mr. E, how you doing? This is 5 or 6 milligrams. Andy Braddock, you're currently in it. I really hope that you're going to be okay and that everything's going to be Gucci and you're not going to have too much, damage, and hopefully your life is good. So I'll be praying for you. I'm losing my mind every day. You don't play the Titan Disc Waste. Barrels Crab, you guys should know by now. Muko, how you doing? Thanks for the follow. Really appreciate you. Welcome to the channel. Thank you. You should know by now that I like to blue ball you guys. So I will only do that quest when I finally realize that I can no longer put it off. But until such time, as long as I can last without it, and I still have a lot of side quests that I can do, you'll just be blue balled. I might even start in a couple of weeks saying quest today, guys, absolutely, in the title of the stream, and then we end up not doing that. And every day you come to the stream, you go, bro, what the fuck? When's he gonna do this quest? And then one day, without you even you forgot about that. Then suddenly I do the disc quest. And you're like, oh, finally. So you do like boys? Does you like blue balling us? As then I have to. I have to. The trick about streaming is you don't want to give the stream everything they ask for all at once. Otherwise, they'll just immediately leave. What you want to do is you want to do just enough to leave them wanting more. And then you go do something else. Right? I still have viewers waiting for Final Fantasy XIV's playthrough to happen again. That's been almost 2 years. Because the title of this quest will spawn so many theories. Dude, I still have to go look at the book as well, but I'm busy with side quests. If you have a problem, you need to talk to Ian. They made too many good side quests in the Ringing Deeps. I'm still working on the side quests. I'm having way too much fun. But I promise, on stream, we will do the disc quests, and I promise on stream, we will do the book quest. That will be an actual conversation that we do. But I am loving the side quests. Like, fuck me, bro. Some of the side quests actually feel like they could have been main quests with how good they are. In fact, some of the side quests, I'm a little annoyed that they're not main quests because they would have been so cool voice acted. There's one of the side quests that I just did in the Ringing Deeps. The one where you have to clean up the facility. What was it called again? You have to go clean up the facility and you have to fix those pipes and stuff. Dude, that pissed me off so much that I wasn't voice acted. Because there's some banger voice lines there. Not the waterworks. The waterworks was also fun, opening a delve. That was really cool. But it's the one where you have to take back. Actually, no, it's part of the waterworks questline. I think it's part of the waterworks questline. It's the first part of it. Where you realize, wait, there's no power. And you have to go figure out how to restore the water. Yeah, it is. Actually, yes, it is the waterworks questline. That was super fun, bro. Like, fuck me, that was super fun. So yeah, there's like a bunch of really cool shit in this expansion that just makes it so that I'm gonna admit, I sometimes forget that I'm actually even playing WoW. You know, because normally around this point, I start looking at the game and going, well, fuck. If I'm not going to be raiding and I'm not going to be doing dungeons, then I may as well stop playing. I've not been thinking about dungeons or raids once yet. I'm just fucking about in the world. I've had no need to even think, well, maybe I should do some dungeons. I'm just screwing around in the world doing world quests and stuff. I could care less about, the dungeons or the raids. I'm too busy with the other things still. I was not been this good for a long time. Truth. I'm so mad. I did all side quests first 2 weeks of expansion and rushed to max level campaign. Yeah, Alcatraz, you fucked yourself there, sir. MK, why do I want to do dungeons? I don't feel like I want to do dungeons. I feel like dungeons are boring. Oh yeah, that is something we will be doing next week. Z Vengeance got me to, actually, I said I can do it better than he can. But next week, we will be doing the Lucid Nightmare puzzles. Because apparently I'm getting the Lucid Nightmare mount. So we will definitely be doing that. Doing delves is pretty good and gives you decent gear. The delves is such a cool addition to the game. What's your opinion on Race to World First? I think Blizz should not balance the game around the top 1%. It has a rotting effect with how they nerf encounters and over-represented specs, decent viewing, and okay free marketing, I guess. So the Rowan, So I can't really give you a lot of solid information or a solid opinion on the race to world first for a number of reasons. Number one, I don't follow the race to world first. Like, I could not care less which guild becomes the guild that kills the boss first. That being said, though, I do know a crap ton about esports because you know how most people like to watch football or soccer or football if you're in England or rugby. I watch League of Legends. It is my main sport. It is the thing that I live for on the weekends. I watch the LPL. I watch the LCK. I watch my favorite region, of course, which is the LEC. And I never watch the LCS because who gives a fuck what NA is doing? And that's not an indictment against my American friends. That's just an indictment against the American League of Legends players. But fundamentally, it is my sport. I watch it religiously. I love it. So I know a little bit about esports. I absolutely agree with everything you said about the balancing problems because the same is happening in League of Legends. Esports in League of Legends makes it so that the meta, you see, so here's the problem. There really is no such thing as a meta in League of Legends. I'm just going to use League of Legends as an example here. There really is no such thing as a meta. The meta is going to depend on the champions that you're playing against. So if someone decides to pick Shaco in the top lane, then you picking a Skarner or you picking a Renekton into that Shaco is going to be the most unmeta pick you can make. Because Shaco is just going to wreck your shit. Because he has too many ways to get away from you. He never needs to get close to you. And it's going to be a nightmare to try and farm against him, right? Or you could use any one of a million other examples. So really, a lot of the meta is dependent on what is the other team picking and what is your exact lane counter picking, right? But sadly, because you exist in this world where the pro players pick specific champions, right? Those champions specifically become the meta for everyone, right? So suddenly, solo queue players that don't need to give a fuck about what the pro players are doing see the pro players picking. This happened a few years ago where the pro players started picking Ashe. Not a few years ago, a few months ago, pro players, supports, would start picking Ashe as a support. And then suddenly in solo queue, you start seeing bronze fucking solo queue supports picking Ashe and getting absolutely butt-fucked as a result of that pick, right? Because they don't know what the hell they're doing. And also, if you're going to pick something like Ashe support, there needs to be a lot of things that go into the team. The team needs to be built around the Ashe support in order for this shit to work, right? So fundamentally, it's just... the problem is that the pro scene oftentimes informs the lower scenes in a very unhealthy way. And I see the same thing happening in World of Warcraft. I legitimately see people running 3, 4, 5 mythic keys, like +5 mythic keys, and then having specific champion requirements. They're like, oh, we're only taking these champions, or your gear has to be like this, or this must be your spec. And it's like, bitch, please, this is a +5. This is not the World Cup, right? I know Method is only playing this build, but who gives a fuck what Method is building? This is not a Method Mythic Plus, right? Or Echo is building only this, and this is how they raid. Yes, but you're doing heroic. They were doing mythic, under-geared. You don't have to worry about what the fuck Echo was doing. If Echo, and I remember this being a bigger deal back in the day. I don't know if that's still the case. Most of you raiders will know if that still happens to you. But I remember back in the day, my guild raid members would be like, oh no, we can't do this raid like this. We have a druid, a paladin, and a priest healer, and without a shaman healer, you cannot do this raid. Method tried it. They couldn't do the raid without a shaman. You need shaman. I'm like, bro, we're not what the fuck are you talking about? we're about 35 item levels higher than Method when they tried to do this. What are you saying? No. We will never be able to do it with our current healer setup. We need the exact healer setup that Method was running. It's like, no, we don't. Because Method was trying to undergear clear the raid. We're not trying to do this. We're overgeared as far as I'm concerned. We can do it without the shaman. And it gets very annoying, right? It gets very fucking annoying because you constantly see these people chasing the trains that's set up by the 1% of the player base, doing the raid in the most unnatural way possible, and then somehow that informs everyone else. So I do agree with you. I don't believe that the game should ever be balanced around the top 1% of players. I think because if you're talking about who could or could not be pissed off more brutally, how you doing, sir? Thanks for the sub. Really appreciate you. Welcome to the most degenerate chat on Twitch. Thank you. If you were to choose, who would you rather piss off? 1% of the player base or 99% of the player base? Obviously, you'd rather piss off the 1%. And here's the funny thing. No matter how you balance the game, the 1% will always find a way to exploit the game, right? Because that's what they're geared towards. That's literally all they do, is try to figure out how can they exploit the current game state. So the idea that you're even going to be able to balance the game around the top 1% is ridiculous. It's never going to be balanceable because they will find ways to break it. I'm just not sure. Do you guys feel as if Blizzard balances the game around the top 1%? Entropic, you know what? You just said one of the most important things ever. I remember when I first started YouTube, I made Warlock guides, right? That was where I started, Warlock guides. And I would spend about 3 hours a day on the target dummy. Now, a lot of normal raiders would look at me and be like, target dummy? Dude, come on. What the fuck are you doing? Why would you be on the target dummy? And it's like, well, if you want to be a mythic raider, that's where you go. Because you're testing out your rotation. You're testing out different rotations. You're trying to figure out, is there something I can do a little bit differently in order to squeeze a little bit more damage out of my spec? Maybe if I cast this spell first instead of this spell, maybe that sort of gives me the upper hand, because I'm playing, at least at that time, I'm not playing in 1% increases. I'm playing in 0.1% increases in damage, right? Because a 0.1% increase in damage is a lot when you're already doing very good damage. But unless you're one of those players where that is even necessary, and here again, we are talking about, unless you're trying to clear the mythic raid in the first month of the expansion being out, you're never going to be required to play at that higher level. Ever. Right? Because you're never going to get to a point where the enraged timer is going to be the thing that kills you. So a 0.1% increase in damage is no damage at all. And this perhaps needs to be said even more, and I always say this, and this was actually something that got me a lot of hate on the side of the class discords. Because I remember the Warlock class Discord would always warn people against watching my videos because I keep getting the builds wrong. And what they never understood is that when I made, for example, because I will always do 3 different builds. I would have a beginner build, a medium build, and an intermediary build, and then I would have like a extreme advanced build, right? And they would come out usually 1 week apart. But in the intermediate build, I would usually give people a build that I know they can do at their skill level. So, for example, if you have to choose between Eternal Corruption or Siphon Life, I'm going to give you Eternal Corruption, or whatever it's called, Abominable Corruption, or whatever the hell it's called. I can't remember the spell anymore. Or the talent anymore, but it's still a talent. You can still take it. Because at Intermediary, or at Intermediate, you'll be able to click the button that puts corruption on the target. But I have no reason to believe that you'll be able to keep track of all of your curses if you have to constantly reapply them, including Siphon Life. Now that got me in a lot of trouble with the class Discord, because according to them, that is the wrong build. My philosophy has always been, the best build is the one with which you can do the most damage. That's the best build. Like, there's no such thing as a best build. There is, what build gives you the most DPS? And if the build from the top raider in the world isn't that build for you, then that's not the best build. It just isn't. And then I think the other thing that a lot of people need to remember, and I know we're sort of getting into the weeds here a little, but this is something that people absolutely have to remember. Not every player will have the exact same role in every single raid group. Let me give you guys an example. As the Warlock in my raid group, I would oftentimes be more than happy to do most of the raid mechanics, because my argument was, I can dot the targets, run around, soak things, move around, soak, do whatever. I have more than enough cooldowns to stay alive, and, you know, I'm not losing too much. So my damage would almost always be a lot lower than some of the other Warlocks, because some raids have Warlocks stand in one spot and just nuke, right? Especially when Warlocks are completely overpowered. In some raids, you'll have a mage that this mage just has to stand in this one spot and just nuke. Doesn't mean that that's your job, so your build can't be the same as the guy in Echo, because that guy had the job of tanking the ads. Let's say you're a tank. Now you look at the tank in Echo, and you look at his build, and you go, oh, this is clearly the base build. Well, did you see what he was tanking? Maybe his job was to tank all of the ads, which means he's not going to have the same build as the guy that's tanking the fucking boss, is he? So you're going to... It's weird. Just pick the spec that gives you the most amount of fun in the game and the most amount of DPS that you can do. That's all that matters. If someone doesn't want you in their group, make your own fucking group and just get your own people and go do your own thing. We need people in WoW to stop caring so much about this bullshit, you know, this is the right build, that's the right build. Nonsense. Unless you're doing world first, there is no such thing. Danny, thanks for the 500 bits, sir. Really appreciate it.
Haven't been able to catch the streams lately. Glad to hear you're back in church. Any thoughts on if they're going to update old zones like Plaguelands as more expansions release?
Danny, first and foremost, thanks for the 500 bits. Really appreciate you. Also, Kate, how you doing? I saw your name pop up. Frozen Solid, how you doing, sir? Saw your name as well. And Chris, thanks for the sub. Really appreciate you. Jim, how you doing, sir? Angel, how you doing? Just quickly want to say hello to everyone there. And then Danny, on to you. Thank you very much, dude. Yes, enjoying church very, very much. Any thoughts on if they're going to update? I think we're going to get updates to the zones in World of Warcraft. Like some of the older zones. And I think Plaguelands is going to be a part of that in Midnight. Because we already know in Midnight that we're going back to Quel'Thalas. This suggests, at least to me, that Quel'Thalas is absolutely getting an upgrade. Or a visual update. And I would assume a lot of the zones around Quel'Thalas will probably get a visual update as well. Now, with that said, it should also be pointed out that I think in The Lost Titan, we are again going to go to some of the older zones. And I think this is Blizzard's new approach, their method to upgrading and visually updating the whole world. I think for the next few World Souls, or sagas, really, I think what we're going to get is Blizzard going to all of these old zones in World of Warcraft and using us going back there as a way to visually update these old zones. So yes, I do think we can expect. I think that within the next 10 years, we will probably have a completely visually updated World of Warcraft. Probably could be that they also update the Draenei Isles, because you can almost see how the Draenei will be part of an expansion called Midnight. Player builds is like copying the lifestyle of a billionaire while living off paycheck to paycheck life entropy. I like the example, and it is 100% true. I think Midnight. Last Titan is Northrend. That was already said by them. But Epic Cthulhu, yes. The point I'm making is that Northrend will obviously then get a complete visual overhaul. So you'll probably get not all of the bottom areas on Eastern Kingdoms updated, but you'll probably get a lot of the bottom areas of Eastern Kingdoms updated. And then when we go to Northrend in The Last Titan, because again, we know that we're going to Northrend in The Last Titan, but that doesn't mean it's the only place we're going, right? It's possible that we could be going to multiple places, and Northrend is just one of the stops in The Last Titan. But I do think this is how Blizzard is going to update things. Slowly but surely, just, sort of zone by zone, or maybe like a bulk of zones. So say 4 or 5 zones at a time will get this brand new visual update. Oh, but Frozen Solid, I never want anyone to think that we will ever get a complete overhaul of a zone. I want to break this early so that everyone lower their expectations significantly, because most of these reworks in terms of graphics, remasters, really we should call them, will be AI handled. I'm convinced of that. The AI will do most of that. Morrigan, how are you doing? We do have Sjolnerub and Erikron's Fortress underground in Northrend. Would be nice to visit them. Oh yeah, that would actually be super cool. Godboard Gollum, how you doing? Northern Nerubian Underworld. Dude, there's so much about the Nerubians I still want to see. Well, Entropic, I would like to point out, just as a quick, this isn't one of the topics that I wanted to discuss, but this is a good topic. When you start an expansion from scratch, having to create a world from scratch, you are very much limited in the amount of zones that you can start with, right? Because you can do 8, but how much time is 8 zones going to be? Because remember, you have to craft all of these zones from scratch. When you're operating in old zones, so the zones already exist, you're just going to be doing visual overhauls of these zones. Are you still limited to just 4 zones per expansion? Because remember, you don't have to build these zones. They're already there. And with the AI technology the way that it is, most of this, as already said, will be handled by AI. You'll just tell the AI, upscale these zones, and the AI will do it for you. So you can easily do 10 zones at launch and have 4 of them be quest zones, another 4 be complete side quest zones, and have 2 of them be complete end game zones, right? And bam, there you have it. Do you think the overhauled zones can be made larger? Case IP, that's exactly why I think they want to overhaul them, is to bring them to scale of what we saw in Dragon Isles. So they'll still look exactly the way that they did always look, right? So they still look exactly the same, except the distances are greater now. Because remember, we have dynamic flying now. So it's sort of like, if we want to make flying feel, because I'll be honest with you, how many of you have done some flying in the old world, in World of Warcraft? It feels a little bad And I don't mean bad as in terrible to fly around. It's still fun to fly around. But you skip through things so fucking quickly, right? It's like, it is so quick to go through the zones. It's just like, you're just gone through everything. Yeah, it feels off. It really has taken the size of the world and it's completely condensed it. It's completely made it like just one, like much smaller than what it used to be. Whereas I do think they're going to use this to increase the proportions so that the zones feel a little bit more epic. Maybe the mountains will be made a much larger. So take a look, for example, at Malgor. Do you guys remember the first time you saw Thunder Bluff? Ivan, how are you doing, sir? Now, imagine if Thunder Bluff was, with the new technology that we have, actually a city in the clouds. Imagine if you stood on the ground and could not see the top of Thunder Bluff because it's that high up. Because we have the technology for it now, right? We can go incredibly high, higher than we've ever gone before. Zones are now a shit ton larger than what they've ever been before. So for the first time ever, you can run into Mulgore and just this cloud overhang. You look up to where Thunder Bluff must be, but it is above the clouds. Going up through the elevator takes you through the clouds, and then only do you see Mulgore standing atop this hill, right? This giant pillar in the air. And that's stuff that you can do now because you have the scale technology to make zones just a hell of a lot bigger. Claire, steady flight all the way for me. Why? That'd be so cool. I find myself using steady flight while I'm questing and skywriting when I need to travel long distance. I haven't used normal flight since dynamic flight became a thing. Not once. That's cool, actually. I steady fly when I feel like gathering everything on the way. I've used it around the Foul River in Tanan Jungle. I just prefer it personally. Oh no, I prefer dynamic flight every day of the week. Dynamic flight, to me, is what flying should have been in World of Warcraft. Now, I admit there's probably still work that needs to be done around actual gathering. And we've spoken about this in one of the last streams that we had. But yeah, I still feel like there's work that Blizzard can do on dynamic flight, but dynamic flight, to me, this is what flying in a game should be. It's how it should feel. This could be the real reason why Dalaran got blasted too cramped. Possible. And it could be that the new Dalaran we get, the actual new Dalaran we get, will be a proper Dalaran, right? Like a giant city. Dude, we could see so many reworks with cities actually. Because you think about something like Orgrimmar. Technically speaking, Orgrimmar and Stormwind, actually, for this matter, how many people do you think actually live in Stormwind? It's millions. There aren't not a lot of humans in World of Warcraft. There's a lot of humans, but does Stormwind actually look like a city that houses millions of people? I'm not talking about what it looks like. I'm talking about how big do you think Stormwind actually is if it was to be a real place?
Oh, damn.
Oh, shit. Kissy, kissy. Thanks for joining the beer club. Really appreciate you. Welcome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're far too kind. Too many people live in Stormwind for my liking. Dogma Mephisto, I do agree with you on that, but we don't say that to the Alliance. We think that. Those are our private thoughts that we all think. We don't say that out loud. The Alliance will just one day learn that mana bombs was not just limited to old Garrosh, and we can drop more if needs be. Lore is different. Like, for example, Ratchet should be city, not just 3 buildings. Do you think the return of the Titans to Azeroth can cause some world changes? In fact, I would not be surprised. I think, well, let's imagine it this way. Giant titanic battles. How do you think that's going to change the landscape? It's obviously going to make... I mean, if a Titan falls after being punched, there's either a new crater or a new mountain where the Titan fell, right? So yeah, I'd imagine there's going to be a lot of changes, most likely, to the world. Duncan, how you doing? Thanks for the follow. Really appreciate you. Welcome to the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But with the technology we have in World of Warcraft now, with how large and scale-wise they can go with World of Warcraft, you could actually see Stormwind start to resemble the truth of what that city would be, right? And the same with Orgrimmar, the same with Thunderbluff, and the same with Silvermoon. Remember, in the past, Blizzard were limited to how large they could make things, because when most of these zones were designed, they were specifically designed for people running on foot. Then flying came out, and you could see that the zones in Outland, for example, was significantly larger than most of the zones in base WoW, but still relatively not that large, because flying only takes you that fast, right? It only travels that fast. But now with dynamic flight, it is possible for Blizzard to go balls to the wall and just do it big. And people will enjoy it, I think. Suramar was huge, and imagine a Dalaran that is literally the size of Suramar. And that's another thing that Blizzard could probably work on, although I think that becomes a different discussion, because there will be slightly more, but yeah. If you updated the AI of the NPCs in World of Warcraft, cities could actually start to feel properly alive. You know, you walk through the city and you see citizens going about their business. I mean, there are games who absolutely do this, by the way. There are plenty of games where the AI acts like normal humans would act. And that is something that Blizzard could absolutely do that will drive so much more immersion. Although the one thing that I don't want Blizzard to do, I can't remember what game it was, but there was a game who had this, where sometimes you would try to go to a shop, the map would say this is the shop, but the shopkeeper wouldn't be there, because the shopkeeper is now off on errands. So that would be, you know, super annoying. They shouldn't do that. Dragon's Dogma is a game that does this as well very well. Or maybe you could give them apprentices. So if the main shopkeeper's an inn, then the apprentice will always be there. And if the shopkeeper's in, then the apprentice is an inn. So, you know, you always have someone that will help you, but it comes and goes, which could be super cool. Like Skyrim, where quest givers can be killed. I don't know if we should have that, though. Because can you imagine if the Horde suddenly attacks Stormwind, kills all of the quest givers for the low-level players, and then they're just gone forever? I think people would lose their shit over that one. It would be funny, though, as a Horde player. Darkshore, Horde used to decimate them. You kill quest givers in BG3. Yeah. But that's always been a Larian classic. Yeah, but Kimmy, we're talking about once you kill them, they're gone forever. And kill the auctioneers in Stormend. With the shop, doesn't need to be NPC. You click, but the count. Well, all I'm doing now, and this is like the most basic bullshit ever. It is not important to the game. Blizzard never has to do this. But if we're just talking about immersive experiences, having NPCs move around and do their own thing would be mega for immersion. Because you go to the blacksmith and the blacksmith isn't there. He's out on patrol. And you actually have the apprentice is there. You click on the apprentice. He offers the exact same services as the blacksmith. And you maybe have like a chat bubble where you can ask, where is the blacksmith? And then he'll tell you the blacksmith is off doing this, right? And if you really wanted to go a bit with immersion, what you do is the apprentice can do all of the basic stuff that the blacksmith can do, but not all of it. So the more advanced stuff you need the blacksmith for, but then the apprentice can tell you exactly when the blacksmith is going to be back or where the blacksmith is so that you can go talk to the blacksmith. Just things like that, I think would be mega cool. First and foremost, just from the perspective of immersion. But then also I think for the RP players, it would be insanely cool. Yeah, like Mastercraft, Arcadian, literally that. Imagine if you had these Mastercraft recipes that only the blacksmith can make. And if the blacksmith isn't in, you have to go look for the blacksmith. You have to go find the blacksmith so that he can make these Mastercraft items for you. That would be fun, but if I need shit before raid, I'd lose my shit. Kimmy, well, this is exactly where pre-planning comes in. The NPCs have lives too. You know, the blacksmith might be sleeping. And then you have to come back tomorrow. Or you do, if you wake the blacksmith, he charges you double for shit. So you wake up the blacksmith and suddenly all of his prices is double. Anti-product, you joke about this, but there was a guy that literally did this. It was a plumber back in my hometown that he used to have this sign in his shop where he would say, bad planning on your side does not constitute an emergency on mine. Which I didn't mind the sign because he sent so much business my way. Because people would call him like 5 o'clock on a Friday, and he'd be like, sorry, we're not working anymore. And then they'd phone me, and we would work. So, you know, I didn't mind the fact that he had that sign, but he lived by that sign. So it is what it is. I've had my old boss tell me that. Oblivion was a single-player game. As in, yeah. So there are obviously going to be things that you don't want to do because this is an MMO and, you know, you can't really do everything that you would do in a single-player game. But I do feel like a lot of the time, cities in World of Warcraft don't really feel lived. I made this point when I first saw Donegal. You know what makes Donegal one of my favorite cities in World of Warcraft? It feels like a city where people actually live. Like flying through Donegal, running through Donegal. It feels like a proper living city. You know? Whereas you compare that to quite a few of the other cities. Zuldazar, for example. I don't know of a single person that thought Zuldazar felt like a proper city. In fact, it felt shit to be in Zuldazar, right? Borealis was another one of those cities that actually felt proper, right? It felt like a good city. But yeah, you can just do so much more, especially with the technology we have nowadays. Back in vanilla, doing a quest in Duskwood for an NPC that patrolling the roads, and sometimes he got killed by spiders. I remember that was a pain to wait for him to respawn. I remember that. They're doing more on that front. The quest giver move around at least a little. They aren't rooted in place all the time. True. Zuflaki, you're now the second person I've heard who said to me they liked Zuldazar. Is there anyone in chat that also liked Zuldazar? That thought Zuldazar was a top-notch city? Kixio, I think we are going to get that rework. I think we're definitely getting that rework. I liked it. Easy to navigate. It's a jungle. I like jungles. Not the zone, the city. I did. It felt like Ancient Empire City. That city can suck my dick, dude. I hated Zuldazar. It felt like the most unnecessary city on the planet. Because you can't go in through the front. You have to go around the back to get into everything. And it was just like, bro, come on, you motherfuckers. Not a single person have thought this is really stupid. We have this pyramid. We may as well make a front entrance as well. That it just sucked. Yeah, Borealis. Borealis was the main city for the Kilterans. And that was just an infinitely better city. I'm still bitter about WoD and not getting primetime Karabor. Oh, yes. That would have been cool as shit. Felt that way about Borealis. I always got lost there. Zuldazar for me was way better. Well, what you're referring to, Dark Mephisto, sounds like you're just talking about the functionality of the city. In which case, sure, it was easy as fuck. Just fly around the back of this giant pyramid and then enter the one door that there is, and it basically leads to everything. Right? They have a giant pyramid. No need to go in there. There's literally just one room that really matters. So no one really knows why the giant pyramid exists to begin with. But if you're talking about immersive qualities, Zuldazar was not it didn't feel like a living city. That's really the point I'm trying to make. I would have preferred it felt a bit better. Alba Gaming, how you doing? Just joined in. How do you like the War Within so far? Alba Gaming, loving it. Loving it. I've already said, like, everyone keeps asking me to do this, to do that, to do this, to do that. And I just keep saying the same thing. Boys, I'm busy with the side quests. When I'm finally done with the side quests and I'm finally done exploring the entire fucking universe, then I will start doing disc quests and all the rest of it. But for now, I'm having fun. You know, I'm doing side quests and then I'm running into every fucking cave. I'm looking behind every single plant, every single building I run into. I first have to spend 10 minutes looking at the table and the books and the book racks and all of that shit, because maybe there's something there, you never know, that could, give me some insight. And I'm just enjoying myself at the moment. So this is probably the slowest I've ever played World of Warcraft, but it's also the most fun I've ever had in World of Warcraft, because the side quests feel incredibly deep and fun to play through. The stories revealed in the side quests are incredibly fun. Are you still only interested in lore and not really raiding? Kissy, yes. I don't want to raid at all. I have no interest in raiding. I've had a couple of people ask me. I have no interest in spending... The other problem is also time. I don't have the time to raid. I spend every morning of my life making videos, editing videos, uploading videos, and then in the afternoons I stream, right? And then in the evenings it's either church or going out with friends or Bible study or something to that effect. So I don't know where I would fit in the raiding, and there's nothing I want to move away or reallocate in my day or in my week to make space for raiding. So I'm perfectly happy to just play the story, because I like the story. The story's fun to me. I want Shatrath to be graphically to look as it does in WoD. Fuck bro, I just logged on and Blizzard's making me change my guild's name from Cosby Suit. Wait, you made your guild name Cosby Suit? Simulacrum, how you doing, bro? The ship transport to the other island was still down by the docks and the warfront and the Azerite armory forger. Yeah, so you had some things right at the bottom and the other things right at the back. So that just made even less sense. But, it is what it is. Okay, so I have one more. Plant-based, how you doing? Love that you're going to church. Good for you. Why, thank you very much. Yeah, I've been going to church. Arcadius, thanks for the follow. Really appreciate you. I gave my heart to Christ at the beginning of the year, and I've been going to church for about 4 months, probably. If that long. Maybe not even that long. But yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot. There's one final thing that I want to discuss with you guys before we say goodbye to each other for this episode of Barrens Chat. And that's timelines in World of Warcraft. I feel like there's a lot of people who are very confused. And the only reason I say this is my DMs are currently filled with people after my Xalatath video going, wait, but I don't understand. How can Xalatath be Illyria if Xalatath existed before Illyria even? How can Illyria turn into Xalatath? This makes no sense. So, I think we should talk about timelines in World of Warcraft and exactly how the timelines of World of Warcraft work. So let's quickly talk about this. All right. So there's a couple of different ways in which timelines in worlds actually work, right? The first way it could happen is that there are multiple timelines. This could be infinite. This could be less than infinite. This could just be a few from the very off, right? So from the moment the universe starts, you have these multiple timelines and they just all run alongside it. This is very rarely how time dimensions are actually utilized. And this is very rarely how theoretically time dimensions would exist. Because fundamentally, all timelines is just different dimensions that operate on different timelines and they don't affect each other, right? Most of the time, what you would have with sort of timelines is it all started with a singular timeline. And then from here, you have what some people will call the snaking theory or the river theory. So what this suggests is with every major decision that is made on the timeline splits. And it can split into multiple things depending on how many options there were. So if this is the first timeline and you make the decision here, if there were 3 possible choices you could make, the timeline splits into 3 different courses. And now you have these 3 timelines that's now running from this moment forward. And then more choices will split it even more. Sometimes you can make a choice that can actually bring timelines back together, because no matter how those things played out, they would always lead to the same conclusion. Or other times they can just keep splitting and you can end up with millions upon millions of timelines, even though it all started with a singular timeline, right? So this is the first bit. I don't like that theory because it invites a bunch of problems. The first problem is who decides what is a big enough choice for a timeline to split, and then who decides where timelines end up, and who decides how many options there really is for a timeline to split in. So I really don't like that theory. So I believe that the timelines in World of Warcraft truly was there from the first moment. Right? I think that it all started right from the beginning. There were these multiple timelines. Now, of course, in the multiple timeline conversation, we need to keep in mind that the Titans do not appear to exist in all of the timelines. Amonthul appears to be able to interfere with any of the timelines, so he can absolutely travel between the timelines, but he doesn't appear to exist in all of the timelines at the same time. This is why he calls our timeline the Prime Timeline. And we also know that the other timelines would have their own Titans thanks to quests that we did in the Dragon Isles. In the Dragon Isles, if you guys remember, we had those Time Rift quests. And in some of those quests, we, for example, went back to an Azeroth where the Titans actually won. And the Titans of that timeline made Azeroth uninhabitable for mere mortals. Because they had completely ordered the place to the point where giant creatures were roaming the lands and normal mortals wouldn't be able to exist there. So we know that our Titans belong to our timeline, and there are Titans in those timelines that did things completely differently. So Titans are very much limited to a singular timeline. And Amanthul obviously he's the one that has the power over this timeline. He can move the timeline forward or backwards depending on how he wants to do it. It is important to note that time does not have to work the exact same way in every single one of the timelines. And time also didn't need to start at the exact same time in every single one of the timelines. So the first thing I will say is the 1,000 truths that the Void referred to, I believe refer to the 1,000 timelines. And it's 1,000 is just a number, and it's a number that they're using as imagery to signify many. Right? So many more than you can think of. It's not actually 1,000. It's just a number. It's large to make you know they see a lot of possible futures. These possible futures that they see are all the various different timelines that they exist in. How do we know that they must be connected in some way, shape, or form to each other? Because when we go back in time in a Dragonflight, the N'Zoth there says to us, I know you. I know what you've done. And we know that this was not going back to our timeline. We were going to a different timeline. So the old gods are almost certainly linked to each other. They do actively see all timelines playing out at the same time. That's how that N'Zoth knew exactly what we were doing, even though we were not yet doing it in his timeline. So how is it possible that Illyria can be Xal'atath, right? When Xal'atath is far older, first and foremost, than Illyria. And also, we currently have Xal'atath existing, but Illyria is also there, currently fighting Xal'atath. Now, the theory, just to give a little bit of backing to the theory, we have, and I've made videos on this, so I'm not going to cover everything about this theory. You can watch the other videos if you want the theory. But for me, one of the mainstay things that I think point to Illyria and Xal'atath being far more connected to each other than people may want to or may know is the visions that Xal'atath keeps showing Illyria. For example, there's a vision where Turalyon kills Illyria. Now, we know that that is not how it happened. Turalyon did not kill Illyria. How do we know this? Because Illyria is fucking alive. And Turalyon literally just recently told her he loves her. So clearly, Turalyon did not kill her. So why is Xal'atath showing Illyria visions that can so easily be refuted? Illyria doesn't even have to think hard. Seeing the vision, Illyria says, this is not how it happened, and she literally just moves on. What is Xal'atath showing Illyria? Well, to my mind, Xal'atath is showing Illyria her story. See, in this timeline, Turalyon accepted Illyria. He didn't like the fact that Illyria became void, but he accepted it. In Xal'atath's timeline, when she accepted the void, Turalyon killed her, or at least tried to kill her. And that was her moment. That was her catalyst moment. The moment where she accepted the void completely. I believe Locust Walker and Illyria is working together, just FYI. Not Illyria. Xal'atath is working together. That's why Locust Walker is trying to push Illyria. That's also why Xal'atath keeps pushing Illyria. She wants Illyria to accept more of the void. Because once Illyria fully accepts the void, Illyria becomes Xalatath. And that's where the true power lies. Now, how does this happen? If I am correct, and the void can see every timeline but also move freely between timelines, then you could have a state in which, and let me get paint open, just to explain it properly, so the people can actually follow what I'm saying. So if we were to say, for example, we have, this is Xalatath's timeline, and then we'll say, this is our timeline, right? So the yellow one is our timeline, the red one is Xalatath's timeline. If we were to say, so if, for example, let's say on this, let's do black. So on this timeline, let's say, for example, we are currently here. Okay, so this is where we are in the timeline. And at this point in the timeline is where Illyria accepts the void fully and becomes Xalatath. Now, in Xalatath, so this is Xalatath's timeline. This is Illyria's timeline over here. So Xalatath accepts the void here and becomes Xalatath. She will now have the ability to move from this moment on the timeline all the way back to here, because the void can move freely on timelines. The void isn't limited to a single timeline. So even though at this point where Xalatath is now in our timeline, right? So she's moved back from time, from her timeline into our timeline. So it's possible that in this timeline, after this moment, the void gets destroyed and this timeline is destroyed alongside it. So this timeline is no longer in existence. This entire timeline has been destroyed. Xalatath escaped after becoming Illyria, escaped to come to our timeline here. Xalatath has been waiting all this time from this moment. She's been waiting for this moment to happen. So she is literally holding off on this until the moment that Illyria is born. Let's say Illyria was born here. Xalatath now takes note of the fact that Illyria is born, but Xalatath knows that she has to wait a little bit longer until this moment where Illyria will once again accept all of the void, and then Illyria will become Xalatath. Now, what does this mean? Well, for this, we go and we look at the Chromie scenario. During the Chromie scenario, what happened to Chromie every single time the Infinites killed a version of Chromie? Anyone want to try it? Yes, Mr. Claus, well, that's what I'm saying. She lost power, right? She felt a little bit less. She felt a little bit weaker. She felt a little bit lost. This suggests that there's a connection between us and those beings that exist in other timelines, right? But now what were to happen if you had Xalatath times Xalatath? So what happens if Illyria, so this is the Xalatath we have now, and this is Illyria turning into Xalatath, merge into a singular Xalatath? This would be a significantly upgraded version of Xalatath. Combined strength from two different timelines into a much stronger Harbinger. And that could be why Xalatath, after Illyria destroys the Dark Heart, says it changes nothing. Because what Xalatath was after was never the power inside the Dark Heart. She's after Illyria. once Illyria becomes Xal'atath, and this may even go so far as to explain. Some people have asked me, why is Xal'atath so much stronger than Khadgar, for example? Well, imagine that there were thousands more of these timelines, and in all of these timelines, Illyria became Xal'atath. And imagine if our Xal'atath right now, right? So imagine if our Xal'atath, I'm going to do her in raid, our Xal'atath is actually the resultant state of 1,000 different Xal'ataths that have already been absorbed into our Xal'atath. This would explain why Illyria can do absolutely no damage to her. It would also explain why Khadgar, using all of his might, shooting her with an arcane bolt, did fuck all. Nothing. Not a scratch. It didn't even slow her down. In fact, she laughed at him after he hit her with the arcane bolt. She can't be damaged. She is too powerful. Because she is already, what are our words? I have risen from the ashes of countless, I have risen from the ruins of countless empires. So she has absorbed thousands of Xal'ataths into herself. This is her power. This is the unlimited nature of her power. And this is what we're slowly walking towards. Does the timeline theory of Illyria and Xal'atath now make sense to you? Do you understand what I'm stepping in? I don't know if any other being has tried to do it even before. Kimmy, it is possible. Obviously, it is possible. Oh, the last one? I mean, if it is the last one, that could definitely be a problem, right? And it could be that her son has a big role in Illyria not falling to. Remember, what I'm giving you here is Xal'atath's plan. I am not suggesting that Xal'atath's plan will work. I'm just telling you what Xal'atath might be planning. It's up to Illyria if she's going to allow that to happen. And time travel isn't always bad. Call me Principes. There's plenty of examples of time travel that is done actually very, very well. You can do time travel very well. You just have to be... Time travel used as a crutch for painting yourself into a corner is always bad. Time travel, if utilized correctly and not overbearingly relied upon, is actually pretty good. But you have to be very careful with it. And you can't use it too often because then it does become messy. Call me Principes. How you doing, by the way, bro? And I would just like to ask, I would be remiss if I didn't ask this, but Case IP, what made you think, or what moved you to write the message that you wrote? I mean, no one, right, was out here evangelizing anyone, right? I wasn't converting anyone. I wasn't preaching to anyone. Someone asked me if I go to church, and I said, yes, I go to church. I find it telling that you feel threatened with that amount of information to write that Christianity is cringe? For what purpose? What's the purpose? What are you trying to achieve through writing something like that? I don't think it achieves anything to anyone. But I also imagine that you'll be the first to argue that Christians do this to you all the time. Just, constantly turning any opportunity into a preaching moment, when in reality you're doing it now. I don't understand why that would move you. I do understand why, because I used to be you, but I would like to know if you know why you're doing it. If you're leaving, I can focus on work again. In Dragon Ball Z, the way Trunks went back in time to fight the androids was dope too. Yeah, the problem is just that oftentimes people will use time travel as a way to build upon stories, or as a way to change the way stories operate. And that's where things get messy, because what happens now is you end up with this sort of weird thing of every single time the writers get themselves in trouble, they utilize time travel as a way to get out of the trouble. And then players hate that shit, right? So players don't like to be duped. And whenever writers start using this, oh, no, we just time traveled and fixed the problem, very quickly the audience goes, dude, what the fuck? You can't just keep doing this. Stick to a story and stop changing the story using time travel, right? Jack, how you doing, bro? Thanks for the follow. Really appreciate you. Welcome to the channel. Thank you. I hate when they use time travel as a loophole. Yeah. I go, when do you think it's most likely we will see the whole Xalatath is Illyria reveal? If we're going to see it, I would expect end of midnight. I kind of expect the entire Xalatath storyline to reach its crescendo in midnight. Well, if you think about, it's not just time travel that makes things feel this bad. It's also magic. If you overuse magic, it can also end up feeling really shit. And I think all of you know exactly what I'm talking about. You can all think of a book or a movie where magic is used so often to get you out of bad writing that it ends up feeling just not great, And it ends up feeling just not that great. KSIP, it's perfectly fine. I mean, I don't really, I don't find it funny, obviously. And I also don't judge. I want to be very clear. I'm not judging you for making the joke. If you're not a believer in Christ, you making a joke about the religion doesn't really mean anything, does it? So I don't mind it. I was just interested in knowing why you felt like that was something that you should say. Because one thing you have to understand about me, I'm not going to sit here and preach to people, because I believe there has to be a personal relationship if you're going to be talking to someone about the faith. But if you put me in a position where I have to defend my faith, I will absolutely do it, because I am called to do it. So as long as you don't put me in a position where I have to defend my faith, I'm happy to, let everyone just have their fun and do their shit, because I'm not here to convert anyone to anything. I wouldn't believe you, but my wallpaper is Delirious and Xalatath's face split in half and shown as one. So, so you want them to be the same, Eugene? That feeling is me every time I read a story with revival magic that has basically no cost. Power Kirby, it's one of the things that Supernatural had. All the time, right? This is one of the, if it wasn't for the fact that Supernatural had a really fun environment and feeling, right? So I just enjoyed the brothers and their relationship, which was really cool. But if it wasn't for that, Supernatural would have pissed me off to no end. Because the problem with Supernatural is you knew that when one of the brothers died, the other brother will literally just bring him back using either a deal with the demons or some kind of magical bullshit or just any one of a million different ways in which to get the brother back. So it ends up making death feel less impactful. And the same thing is true when you use time travel too liberally. It ends up making everything feel worse, right? Columbus, yeah, absolutely agree with that. I never finished watching Lucifer. I found the show very cringe. The jokes never worked for me, ever. I don't know. It was just as a comedy, not that great. I will tell you what I am watching currently that I find super cool, actually. The Bear. I don't know why I think The Bear is good, but The Bear is fucking good. I don't know why, because it's the main character is actually a little depressing, but it's a fun show to watch. I really just enjoy the show at the minute. Anathemas, how you doing, bro? A week ago, I started Prison Break again after so many years, and I'm having a blast. Oh, Prison Break's so good. Even he chose to the Bear chat. We're doomed. Dude, The Bear is good. I've lived with a chef. I don't care for kitchen drama. Agatha All Along is awesome. Penguin also. Agatha All Along. I have not seen that. What's it about, Dark Mephisto? Every single time I see the word Agatha, I always just think of Agatha Christie and her detective shit. Like the books, Agatha Christie detective books. Oh, right. Yeah, I wouldn't watch that. Fuck that. I don't watch anything new from Marvel. On an advertisement for The Bear. I don't know why it's good. It's depressing and fun. Talking about, yeah, it is true. I don't know why it's good. I don't know what the point is. Is it a comedy? Because in that case, it has not made me laugh once. If it's not a comedy, is it a drama? Because it's not very dramatic either. I don't know what it is. I genuinely, if you ask me, if you put a gun to my head and say, genre The Bear, I don't know what the fuck it is. I don't know. Genuinely couldn't tell you. It's a thing, and it just makes me feel good. I like watching it. That's about it. New Marvel and Star Wars is cringe. Truth. Plant-based. Very true. Sherlock Holmes was Hercules. What, Massey? Marvel baby. It's about the witch that was defeated by Scarlet Witch. Oh. I don't watch new Marvel shit at all. I can't stand the new Marvel stuff. Ugh, but all right, boys. Let's do 5 minutes. Anyone have any questions? Anyone have anything that they want to know? Try to keep it like to quick fire questions rather than ask me a question that's going to keep us here for another 20 minutes because I have to go. What's for dinner tonight? Steak and sausage. Really looking forward to that. It's a weird. It's not even steak actually. It's brisket, but it's on a stick, and it's sort of they call it pinwheels. So it's brisket pinwheels, is what it is. When is next stream? Next stream will be Monday or Tuesday. I'll have the schedule up on Discord by Sunday. But next stream will either be Monday or Tuesday. Miss Agatha Christie, her book series is based on a detective called... I only played the games based on Agatha Christie. And they were fun as shit. It's called Agatha Christie Murder on the Orient Express, I think, was one of the games. That was super fun. A guy was killed on a train. And you have to figure out who's the killer. That was crazy. And I had another game, also some detective game for Agatha Christie. I never read the books, but I played the games. They were super fun. Fresh just played at the theater I work at. Oh, nice. Is it G? Rushki, how you doing? My aunt had all her books. One of the covers was giving me nightmares as a kid. Holy shit. Given what Chris Mason has said about you are not prepared, do you plan to make an Illidan speculation video? Kyle, not really, because I feel like everything that could be said about Illidan, we've already said. At this point, all that remains to be seen is how he comes back, and I feel like we have no information on that. So as soon as there's some breadcrumbs that maybe gives us a little bit of insight into how he returns, I will absolutely make that video. 100%. Why do you think Xalatath is using Old God blood if she isn't an Old God? I think there's a lot of power in the Old God blood. And the Old God blood, if I'm reading the lore correctly, at least with what we know right now, it feels like that Old God blood is ridiculously corruptive. It seems like it has an immense corruptive capacity. And I think that's why she's using it. Booker, how you doing, sir? How did he go again? How did what go, Booker? You'll bring Sargeras back and they'll tag team Xalatath. Sounds good. Looking forward to it. I'm good. Thanks for asking. Hope you're doing well too. I read Orient Express in high school and loved such a good murder mystery. I never read it, but I did, Oh, wait. So Illidan stayed behind on the Pantheon after Sargeras was pulled away from Azeroth. And Illidan is staying to make sure that Sargeras doesn't get, cause more shit. So that's how Illidan, that's where he is, at least at the moment. Although it is possible, and I'm just going to throw this out here, it is possible that Illidan is currently being fucking spit roasted by a bunch of Titans. Because, hey, there's a mortal here, let's get ourselves some pussy. So it is possible, right? Just throwing it out there. It could be that Illidan comes back a changed man from how he left. Because I'm not entirely sure what a mortal thinks he can do to Sargeras. Like, Illidan stands there thinking that he can somehow keep Sargeras from escaping. How? Like, in what way can Sargeras will crush him with, like, just flick him gone, dead? So I'm not sure. We're getting ordered together with these new bestie Sargeras. That could also be happening, right? They're just going to have a stern talking to. Kiki, how you doing? What the hell kind of shipping is that? I'm not shipping anyone. I'm just suggesting the imagery that I'm using is to describe how Illidan is going through a very bad time currently, because I don't think the Titans give one fuck about Illidan. And I think primarily the Titans might hate the fact that Illidan is on the Pantheon to begin with, because Illidan is cramping their style. They can't get up to all their evil bullshit while Illidan is there. It would be kind of cool if Xalatath were the evil Sargeras trying to prevent. Now that I think of it, that would actually be not bad. I think Illidan made a deal with the beings that were augmenting his power in the spell he was casting to stop Sargeras from entering Azeroth during the War of the Ancients. Maybe. Maybe, although I don't think we have a lot of information about that. Guinea Pig is an ordered demon. Well, you have to imagine, for the Titans, Illidan would be a pretty big problem case. Because remember, Titans have a natural weakness to foul. So, Illidan may actually represent a pretty big nightmare for the Titans specifically. So I would not be surprised if they do end up doing something unspeakable to Illidan. in Lost Titan, just Sargeras comes back with Illidan. They tag teamed and killed all the rest. Oh, that would be cool as shit. Well, here's the thing. What if, during all this time, Sargeras explains to Illidan exactly what he was doing, and Illidan realizes, oh shit, I chose the wrong side. Huh? Unagi. That could work, right? That could be fucking fire. You see Illidan stepping out of the portal with Sargeras right behind him. His blade dripping in Titan blood. And Illidan's like, right, where the fuck are these Watchers, boys? Let's kill ourselves some shit. And you just see Tyrande and Malfurion going, wait, should we stop him? Last time he was very right. Maybe he's right again. Massey, no. The only reason we can think of is because of how corrupting Foul is. The Titans can't handle it, right? They simply cannot handle that level of corruption. And that is how Illidan was Sargeras was able to destroy all of them fairly easily. I want to see Xal'atath's origins and more of her story, like what happened to her, what she looked like before she was placed into the knife, why she was, etc. Oh, plant-based, you and me both. You and me both. I would love to see that. But I'm not sure. Would you guys like to see how Xal'atath became Xal'atath in-game or in a book? Or in a series? If you had one of those three options. See, my only problem with wanting to put it in the game, and I'm right there with you guys, I prefer when things is in the game. But my problem with putting things in the game is that oftentimes you don't have the ability to really explain things as in depth as is required. So, for example, if you were to, let's say, Blizzard brought out a book, but literally just called Xal'atath, right? And you saw the entire history of Xal'atath, I feel like you could go into a lot more detail using a book like this than what you would ever be able to do in the game. So what I would opt for, if it was me, is the main sort of highlights in-game, and then a book to explain the highlights more. That's if it was me. I would put the highlights in the game, so you explain her origins good enough in the game, and then you bring out a book that, you know, for the lore nerd. So kind of like, here's what I would do. The book would be like an IRL stay a while and listen. You know, like how you get the stay a while and listens now? That's what I would like to see. So I would like all World of Warcraft books from now on to be these stay a while and listen things. Just much more stay a while and listen. Because oftentimes in the game, because there isn't that much time, and because Blizzard isn't really known for making that deep of a narrative experience with the game, I'm afraid it's going to be a little rushed, and it's going to feel a little rushed. Said something about Xal'atath being Illyria. How did you get there? Hamid, I mean, I have videos on the channel where I go into a lot of depth into that, and there will be another video where I explain even more of that in the future. I'm not going to go over it again, but because the first video I made on this was almost 20 minutes long. The next video I made on this was definitely longer than 10 minutes. And this video I just made about this or at least the discussion I had about this was again over 10 minutes long. So if I were to explain it again, we would be here for another 40 minutes as I go through all of the evidence that supports the theory. But it is on the channel, so you can definitely check it out. A lot of people don't read. If a user, how are you doing? Black Library sometimes loses many publishing books for Warhammer. But if a user, this is why you make the books a stay a while and listen experience. Everything is in the game that people need to know. The books is simply there for people that care about it. And I don't care if a lot of people don't read. It's their loss. Reading is crazy fun. And you should be doing it. You should be reading if you're not reading already. You'll be surprised at the world that opens up to you when you sit down with a good book. It's better than any movie. This I can promise you. Like, there's no movie that even comes close to the immersion of a book. Like, books are insane. Dear Expert, I would definitely not be okay with an audiobook only option. It could be audiobook also, but I hate audiobooks. Plant-based, God bless you too. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Take care of yourself. You only say reading is crazy fun because you said reading chat. I like reading just in general. Audiobooks are the best. When they have good voices, they're amazing. I hate audiobooks. I literally despise audiobooks. I lose all my attention. I can't listen to an audiobook because 5 minutes into the book, I've stopped listening. 30 minutes later, I realize, wait, what the fuck is playing? This actually happened to me the other day. I was in the kitchen. I was busy cooking, and I was sort of cleaning while I was cooking. And I had my earphones in because I was listening to Vadi Boham. He was doing a talk, a sermon about Christ. So I was listening to this, right? And I'm busy cooking and I'm busy doing stuff. And the next minute I realize, I go, and I realize, wait, there's someone talking in my fucking ear. And then only I remember, oh, I was actually listening to something. And I just completely stopped listening because I started dreaming. I started thinking about other stuff while I was doing this. So I can't listen to I think in America they call he's called Vadi Buchan or Buchan. I'm not sure. Here we would say Buchan, but I think it's Buchan. My wife is the same way. I don't understand it. I focus on the book while everything else is autopilot. I can't multitask. Like, I physically cannot multitask. I can only do one thing and then nothing else. If you ask me to do two things at the same time, it's not possible. I would never be able to do two things at the same time. I'll do the one thing and then I'll do the other thing. No problemo. I'll quickly show you. How would you say this name? That's how you say his name. I don't know how you say that name. When you're thinking in words, you stop listening to words being spoken to you. That's probably how it is, because I do think in words. I'll talk to myself in my own mind about stuff. Need a visual to absorb something. Oh, Claire. I mean, we're not talking about porn right now, but hey, I respect that. I hate it when I envision an actor as character in a book I'm reading, and then they do a live action adaptation. Everything's DI. It's not even DI. You know what I really hate? When I read a book about a character. So what I read Dan Brown, not The Lost Symbol, the Da Vinci Code, before the movie ever came out. And I never imagined the lead guy, I can't remember his name now, as being Tom Hanks. Ever. In my head, Tom Hanks wasn't the guy, right? So I remember when the movie came out and Tom Hanks was chosen as the main character, I was like, the fuck? He's not this reporter dude, professor guy. That makes no sense to me. That makes no fucking sense to me. In level 41 IRL today, my stats have decreased. Troubleshooter, happy birthday. Can we get some hearts in chat, ladies and gentlemen, for Troubleshooter? It is his 41st birthday. Happy birthday, sir. Do you have any thoughts on the Mark Robinson controversy? The who? Who's Mark Robinson? Ophelia, how are you doing? Genuinely don't know who that is. Hold up, let me see. North Carolina governor. What the hell did he do? Mark Robinson. What did he do? Because I'm assuming this needs to be this is a story. He's a United States politician. He went on a crusade against porn, but then CNN found out his own porn history, and he very much enjoyed what he was trying to ban. Well, what is his history? Like what is the history of porn? Because I mean, I can say now, right, that I am absolutely against porn because I know what it does. But I can also admit to you that not that long ago, I was borderline addicted to porn. So, you know, views change, right? But if I were to talk about... If I were to ever talk about a ban on pornography, it would be because of trafficking. The amount of trafficking and dark money that plays into porn is very bad, right? So that would be my reason for it. I wouldn't do it because people are watching it, because that's not going to stop people from... If you really think the government can ban things, you're a fucking moron. Like, dude, come on. Drugs are illegal in prison, and yet if you really want good drugs, prison is the place to go. So it is complete bullshit to think that... Don't ban things because you think you're gonna remove it. That's just nonsense. Tim, he also made a lot of comments that I likely can't post in the Twitch chat. Oh, right. I saw one year about like Black Nazi or some shit that he's writing. Or maybe he said it or some shit. I don't know. I'll tell you one thing. I don't think there is such a thing as a good politician. At least that's my opinion. I think they're all pieces of shit and very evil. Zaki Bali, how you doing? Thanks for the follow. Really appreciate you. Welcome to the channel. Thank you. I think they truly don't care. What, politicians? Well, of course they don't care, Diffin. The Dark Lord, how you doing, sir? Why would they care? Like, dude. These politicians do not live your life. They don't even know you. Why would they care about you? It is as simple as that. They don't give a shit. They care more about their donors than what they will ever care about you. Crazy to me that when I was growing up, you would have to find your father's magazines or videos to see porn stuff. Now it's free anywhere online and way too easy for children to access. True. Sadly, very true. I don't know. I think our society will come to a reckoning point at some stage. I don't know when that will be, but I know as someone that was, I was probably addicted to pornography. Not in the form of like watching it all the time. That's not. I didn't watch it all the time, but I would watch it at least once a day. And I know how much damage that did to the way I viewed women specifically. I know it now. Now that I no longer watch it, I know how my views towards women have changed and how I used to view them. And I can tell you, if you're watching porn, your view of women is most likely really bad. They're most likely really bad and very far removed from reality. Even if you don't know it, even if you don't realize it, I can promise you that. But anyways, that's enough of me confessing my sins. I'll be back later to confess more sins, probably next week sometime. Fuck knows, I have many. So if it was to ever be a stream of confessing sin, that would be, we'd be here for a long time. Thinking I'm on a horse or something. Guys, it'd be not even that. Not even that, bro. It's, you don't realize it while it's happening. You don't realize it while it's happening because I've never thought of women as just things. Never. I thought of them as people, you know, and I thought I was a really nice guy. But women were tools that existed purely for my fantasy and nothing else.
Take my money.
Bro, thanks so much for $36. Really appreciate ya. Thank you. With some hearts in chat, ladies and gentlemen. Someone just made me rich. I appreciate you, sir. Thank you. They were tools. I viewed them as tools, and I didn't realize it at the time. At no point did I think, oh, I'm looking at women as a tool. But I was, absolutely. Because the only way I would look at women is, what will she do for me? Relationships was the same thing. I would approach relationships with the idea of, what will this person do for me? Not, what can I do for her? How can I enrich her life as she enriches mine? I couldn't even do fucks about her enriching my life. It was this idea of, if I do get a girlfriend, I'm going to go on with my life the way that I live my life, and she just needs to do a bunch of things for me. And you don't realize that this is how you're viewing her, because you obviously, you have a brain, and much in the same way that your brain makes up a bunch of fairy tales to make you seem not like a caveman, your brain does the same thing there, right? So it dresses it up a little bit. But I mean, to give you, I could not look at a woman without immediately thinking sexual thoughts. Immediately. Sexual thoughts everywhere. And then when you stop, you very quickly realize how that goes away. And you start looking at women differently. Don't get me wrong. When you see a beautiful girl, your hormones are still actively going to play a part. You're a man, right? That's obviously going to happen. But I'm very good at catching myself now. So when I see a beautiful girl and there's that obvious, sort of, whoa, fuck me. There's the immediate, no, she's not your wife. She's not your girlfriend. This is nothing for you to look at. And I can just move on, right? Whereas I would never have fucking done that in the past. Ever. Right? Never. There would have been no stopping me. I would have looked and I would have kept looking. Now what? 74 months part of the DJ Nation. Appreciate you, sir. Thank you. You're far too kind. Be proud of yourself. I cannot be proud of myself because I had nothing to do with it, Geeky. I can promise you that. I could never stop. I have tried stopping for years, and I've never been able to do it. So it has nothing to do with me. I can honestly say, if it was not for God, I would not have been able to stop. This I can say with absolute certainty. Because I can never stop before. You are a tool to solely exist, to provide money and security. You kind of think about it like that, beer expert. But even that, I never even thought of that. Quite frankly, I never even thought about providing for her in any way, shape, or form. I just thought about how can she provide for me. Not in money, but, in other things. Albert, how you doing, sir? Mr. Glossel, yep. I cannot take any credit for the changes in my own life because the changes that's been made are changes that I have always wanted to make and have always failed. Always failed. But anyways, dudes, I said 5 minutes 40 fucking minutes ago. Just want to be clear about that. I said 5 minutes 40 minutes ago. It is now 40 minutes later and I am still streaming. What is happening? Time flies when you're talking about porn? Probably. I mean, definitely. But no, I appreciate all of you for coming out, for hanging out with me, for spending your day with me. I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed the show. I know I definitely did. I really appreciate all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy your weekend. If I don't see you again this weekend, be kind to each other. Be good to each other. Have crazy fun. Spend some time with your family, your friends, your loved ones. Whatever you do, be safe. And as always, I will see all of you in the next one. Peace.